Jonathan Majors, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being on NPR.
My pleasure.
I want to start off with kind of a fun question, right?
Okay.
So you're in a bunch of movies right now. We're going to get into all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them is Creed 3.
That's right.
It's all about the underdog, right?
That's right.
And so I want to know a time when you were the underdog in a fight,
Uh-huh.
and basically a time you were worried that your mouth had written a check that your behind could not cash.
Oh, this is interesting because there's two roads to this. I always feel like the underdog, but to the anecdote, probably like my 8th grade year.
Yeah.
So I'm at the gym. I was a basketball player, and I'm in there with a bunch of the older guys, and I get to playing hard and talking trash, and all of a sudden, guy says something to me, and I take the ball. Guy being the junior.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
so someone who's older.
And a lot bigger than me.
Okay.
And I get heated, and I go, yeah, whatever, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, and throw the ball.
At them?
I just throw the ball, sis. But this ball hits this boy right in the back of the head. And I'm thinking,
no.
oh, Jay, it's on. You've done it now. You've done it now. And by the time I got done talking and scrapping and
my
all
goodness.
types of stuff.
So he went at you once
Of
you
course,
did that.
he already wanted me. He already was like, who is
Okay.
brother? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you hit him in the head, and he had to.
He had to try to regulate.
Okay.
And
did he regulate?
He tried it. He tried it.
Did you win or lose?
I was definitely an underdog.
You were the underdog.
I definitely lost the fight, but I won the.
You won in your heart.
Everyone saw it. You know what I mean?
Okay,
The guy was a lot
everyone
bigger
saw
than me, and I didn't go down easy.
And you didn't go down easy. Okay.
Yeah,
Are you a
right.
good trash talker?
I didn't talk much. No, I was very much like I was like the exclamation mark.
Mm.
When everybody was talking trash, I do what I did, and I'd be like, yeah.
So you would be the person egging it on?
I like it when people talk trash.
I like that too.
It don't bother me, but I never talked it back. I would just respond. But it didn't take me much to pop off when I was a kid.
Yeah. But now you're more calm?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is I'm an introvert. On the outside, I don't give it away, how I'm feeling, but I'm feeling a great deal, and so I tend to, it's not calmer, it's just I'm just grown, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on the inside all the time, and it's part of my work, I get to kind of let people in on that,
Well, let's go through like this list of movies. Creed 3.
Creed 3.
With, opposite, Michael B. Jordan. You're also in Magazine Dreams, which is a very serious drama.
Yep.
Getting a lot of buzz, where you play an amateur bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania,
Yes,
where
ma'am.
you are the big bad,
Yep.
Kang,
Yep.
the Conqueror.
Mm.
So all over the spectrum. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel when I'm saying that list?
Well, I feel like I never give the right response, but I got to keep it real. Like, I feel like, yeah, I knew those things were coming, 2 years ago, This is for the folks now. This is for the people. My time was, when I first got those scripts and I first read them, or, when you execute that scene, or, execute it, you let that scene live, that was the hit for me. I can say that. And then I can say the other side where it's like, yeah, I'm a 33-year-old kid, from Texas who always wanted to be an actor, and now it's all out there like that, on, for lack of a better term, on the highest level. It doesn't, that man is massive, Creed 3 is massive. Magazine Dreams has a special part in my heart because it's the first film I produced, so that feels good too, but keep it easy.
Do you feel like this has always been the vision that you had for yourself? Like, are you one of those people, like, I saw, like you saying this, you had put in the work, but did you see, like, oh, I'm going to be big, and everyone else just needed to catch up to the vision that you already had for yourself?
It's deep, because I never thought, I just wanted to be an actor, I had a moment when I was younger, an adult, though, probably like 19, and I saw Broadway for the first time, and I was 21, I guess. And I was in New York, and I saw something on Broadway. I saw Mary Stewart. It was a great production. And I got so sad when I walked out because I had spent all my money. And I felt I had missed out on so much. You know what I mean?
Like what? Like, what did you
Well,
feel
that
like
experience
you
that I had, the catharsis I had, being in space, looking at those wonderful actresses, to that wonderful story, I was blown away by it. And I thought, damn, that could have happened 5 years ago. You know, there's folks who I came up with who will never see that, you know. And so when I was in drama school and stuff, I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this for real, you know. It's the one thing that acting is the only thing that's never abandoned me. You know what I mean? It's kept me safe, you know. Yeah. And I believe in it.
You believe in it more than you believe in like people?
It helps me understand people more. I listen differently as an artist, you know. Makes you a bit of a humanitarian, you know. You love people. I love people, you know. People get on your nerves. You know what I mean? People hurt you, you know, but the art never hurts. It can break you, but it's there to heal you. You know what I mean? It's a very unsafe place, you know, when you go into your art form, when you get in your bag, as it were, you know. It's dangerous. You learn to tolerate danger through the art. And it works both ways. You know, I think if I had a different background, if I had a more safe background, maybe I wouldn't have the point of view I have about art, that it has to be dangerous, you know. I'd seen danger growing up my entire life, you know. I'm accustomed to it.
You said you wanted to be an actor for a very long time. Yeah. What was like the moment when acting really came into your life?
Oh man, I got in trouble. I stayed in trouble. And I was coming out of it, I guess, and I just got put in this theater class. You know what I mean? It was the thing when I was about 13, 14 years old. And yeah, it was a combination of all this emotionality I had, my introvert nature, and the fact that, you know, the language had been around me my whole life. My mom's a pastor. We're Southern. My family is. And as anyone from the South knows, you know, oration is a big part of our culture. Yeah. You know, telling stories that way. I listen to my granddaddy tell stories on his couch and, you know, sit at his knee and hear that. And, you know, singing, you know, is a big thing. The church. And also living in, you know, the neighborhoods I lived in, you know, apartment complexes, you know, popping off everything, this and that, this and that, this and that. Hearing people's, you know, alacrity with language was something I was like, man, that's wild, you know. And then realizing, oh, I just got that from being, just living. Like, this is my culture. This is how we operate, you know what I mean? But then the expression of self, as an introvert, the expression, you know what I mean, was something I really became addicted to the shindig. And one thing led to another, you know, from, you know, that little detention program to, you know, doing it in school and it kind of keeping me out of trouble. And then that then led to, you know, me Googling one night, what is the best drama school for grown-ups? And, you know, the usual suspects came up. Yale was one of them. And I applied my trade to get into that school. And that's been the hustle. You know, that's been the life, not even the hustle.
How do you decide, like, this script speaks to me? This is what I want to do.
Okay.
Do you look at it and go, like, I got some bills I need to pay, so let me do this one?
Nah.
And then you don't look at it like that?
No.
You never did? Like, never?
No, it's deep.
Really?
It's deep. Yeah.
Even like, with your kid, you want,
I've been broke. Watch this. I've been broke. If you just keep living like you broke, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Being an actor, first and foremost, was my objective before anything else in this world. I'm a man of faith. I believe it. You know what I mean? I don't know why I'm so impassioned right now, but I believe that. So if I do that, I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? So it's like,
if you do what your purpose
is,
it will
that's
make
it.
way
That's
for
it.
you.
You know what I mean?
It will make way
this
for
is
you.
This is what I feel. Whoever put me here to do, this is what I'm going to do until it changes. I wasn't put here to, you know, live in a nice apartment. You know what I mean? Or drive a fancy car. You know, that's not what I was here for. You're put here to act. Do that. You know, I mean, I'll start preaching. Seek first.
Well, I know.
You know what I mean?
Like first.
It's deep. You know what I mean? But that's for everything. You know, and so, I mean, yeah. I mean, there are moments now where I go, oh, it'd be nice to, you know, do this, but I'm not taking a job for that. I'm not taking a job for that. You know, you talk about pressure. That's how I pick a role.
That's how you pick.
Based on pressure. I look at it and I go, oh, that's gonna be difficult. That's I'm gonna hit a red zone in that. You know. Magazine dreams, you know, can I be a bodybuilder? You look at those images. I remember looking at that, you know, reading the script and then Googling, and I went, this is going to be impossible. This is impossible. You know what I mean? And I was like, hell yeah, let's roll. You know what I mean? Same with Creed. You know, you watch the Rocky film, you go, man, that's so inspiring. Yeah. But then it can be intimidating if you think, oh, you're supposed to do that now. You go, oh, wow. The complexity of a Damian Anderson, right? Things that haven't been seen before, right? The pressure of folks who have been incarcerated watching that film.
And Damian Anderson is who you play
in Creed 3.
Creed 3,
Yeah.
opposite
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah.
And he is someone who has been incarcerated, comes out.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
And wants a shot.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me more about what drew you to Damian.
Damian Anderson is based off a couple of folk, but for me, the inspiration was really my stepfather, right? Named Joe Young.
Mm-hmm.
That man, he was incarcerated, 15 years before he got to me, and became my stepfather. And I saw it. I understand what that ankle monitor life is like. I understand what the PO coming to the crib is like. I understood that. I watched him be misunderstood and judged, and his aspirations. Mm. His deep, deep aspirations were something greater that were put on pause because he was incarcerated.
Did you feel like you misjudged him?
No, I didn't. Yeah. I always loved him, but it's even more hurtful when you watch someone else do it. Yeah. Say, oh, you don't know him. With Damian Anderson, you get the opportunity to show that, right? I get the opportunity to, write a love letter to my, to my stepdad, at least a little bit of it. The whole thing's not about him, obviously. There's other things involved, but he's going to be seen in that. He's going to be felt in that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, I mean, in some of these new roles that you did, obviously with Kang and somewhat with Damian, I mean, they're somewhat the villain, right? Or the anti-hero.
Oh, yeah.
What is attracting you to that sort of character at this point?
The pressure. I don't feel outward pressure I feel pressure from the individuals that I'm trying to play. I'm trying to bring it to. You know what I mean? Like villain. Okay, how do you play a villain? That's hard. I think it's the exploration of the shadow. Right?
Okay, so explain that, because you're getting kind of deep.
There's the light part, there's the hero part of you that's, ooh, yeah, great, wonderful, and that's great and that's wonderful. But we all have another side of ourselves, and that's the shadow part. That's the part we kind of hide away. It's the part that has our deepest ambitions, our deepest drives, our deepest wants. Lust is there, greed is there, hate is there, those things are real. There's no hierarchy to feeling or existence. You exist or you don't, and so to play characters, right, that are already given such pejorative labels, which are true. These things do not yield positive outcomes, right? But then to also show the light to that is something I'm interested in. Why? Because it adds complexity to our human experience. And if there's not complexity to our human experience, it's quite boring. I don't want to be bored.
So, I mean, I wanted to, you have the villain part of this, but then another common denominator, which you've mentioned, is the physicality, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, in Creed, you play a boxer. In Magazine Dreams, you play a amateur bodybuilder. Yeah. I know you talk about the pressure, but there is a very specific idea of saying, okay, I'm going to lean into looking like a bodybuilder, right? Is this like a very specific decision?
Well, the art form requires it, the given circumstances, the things that are in the play that the actor is responsible for doing, have to be embraced, the physical transformation. Listen, I just don't want to get bored with it. I just don't want to get bored. Where's the difficulty? And to transform the body like that, it takes it is a physical, spiritual, and emotional transformation fully, and it's a high mountain to climb, because there's a standard of perfection. A bodybuilder looks like that. That is the bare minimum. Otherwise, you're just playing games. You know what I mean? A boxer moves like that, fights like that, looks like that. There's gradations to it, of course. This is cinema, so I'm going for the most cinematic. That takes work. You know what I mean? And there are, 2 o'clock workout sessions where you're just crying on the floor because your abs just feel like they just stop working, or you're punching and, I remember when we were doing Creed, I just couldn't feel, there were days I just couldn't feel my arms. Just no one, the first time I said that, no one knows that. Mike doesn't even know that. Oh my gosh. There were days where I actually can't feel anything. I'm just throwing. I'm just fighting my ass off.
But then how does that feel internally? What makes you
because now it's over. Now it's over. And you're like, yeah. And y'all
so then you feel good about it. But like in a moment, why aren't you like, I gotta stop. I can't feel my arms, guys.
Dame won't quit. You know
okay,
what I mean?
he wouldn't quit.
I'm thinking about Joe. Thinking about stepdad. Can't quit. If it was real, if you had the opportunity, right? Would you quit? You're there. Would you quit? No, you don't quit. Something is being transcended, and the beautiful thing about cinema is somebody's capturing it.
Yeah.
So it's not for naught. It's not for nothing. You know what I mean? Cinema is the most beautiful thing because as soon as you give it away, it's got. And you don't have to do it again. You know what I mean? But you better do it. You know what I mean? And you better do it.
Yeah. So people want to know your fitness thing. I know you've been over it a million times before.
Yeah.
But people, I think they're taking notes. I think some people are like, I want to try this.
Yeah.
And if they want to try it, what do they need to do?
First thing I would say is, you ain't gonna want to hear it. I ain't want to hear it.
What does it involve?
Everything you know that's bad for you, just stop it.
Stop. So
just
you can't,
stop your drinking, stop your smoking.
No drinking, no smoking.
Pull out your candy bars.
No candy bars.
Once you do that, you're halfway there.
What about chicken wings?
What about them?
Can you eat those? Can you eat chicken wings?
Yeah, you can eat whatever you want. It just depends on how you prepare it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
You can't fry it.
Well, you can maybe once a week. It's called cheat day.
Okay, so on cheat day.
Yeah,
okay.
And go for it. But sleep. I'm gonna say all the stuff that's far to the left. Sleep hygiene. You need to sleep a lot. That's probably a big part of it. I know that's hard for us as a culture in general. But you need to sleep. The body doesn't grow, it doesn't heal, it doesn't renew itself. All that work you put in, you throw it out the window if you don't rest. You're actually just working. You know what I mean? You should think of it as training. You know, you're not working out, you're training. You're training the body for something that's more than the day-to-day, you know. And it also depends on your body type. So I can't give. I'm not a trainer. I just have a lot of education because I've received a lot. You know. Yeah. I can say live heavy, but that depends on what you're going for. You know. But things we all have in common is diet and sleep. We all got to eat. We all got to sleep. If you clean that up and you focus on that, you know.
But when they come out looking like you, I don't think they're going to come out looking like you just by eating and sleeping right.
Nah. But that's the template.
It's more to it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, do you worry, though, that you got to live and die by that 6-pack now? Like, that if you don't have that 6-pack, like, people are going to rise up?
I've had a hit 6-pack since I was, 5.
Okay, so now you bragging.
No, but everyone knows that guy. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I was a string bean. You know what I mean? And so, like, and broke. So, like, you could see my tendons. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, good. You know what I mean?
That's because you hadn't been eating a whole lot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the body does what it does. I don't mind that. But when the role comes, or whatever happens, that I go, whoa, we don't got. That's not a part of given circumstances. You know what I mean? You don't need that. It'll go away. As much as my genetics will allow it to.
Speaking of, magazine dreams, this movie is stayed with me.
Wow.
I think about it. It's like, it's one of those. But in that way, there's this buzz. There is an Oscar buzz already.
Yeah.
What is your reaction to that?
I love Killian Maddox. Oh, man. I love that character so much. He is, if anybody can see and understand him and appreciate him and stick with him, for the time of that film, I just love it, because Killian is that we all have Killians inside of us, and that particular story, girl, we worked hard. Woo!
To get that together.
Woo! We worked hard on that. The level of difficulty. I had no idea. I remember we started that picture, and I was saying to Elijah Bynum, our director, I said, "Bro, I just don't know if I can do this movie without crying." You know what I mean? Every time we talk about it, I would just start and not boo-hooing, just weeping. I was like, I don't know how we're gonna shoot this, effing film. I never asked folks to see a movie. And I don't care if they see it, but that movie,
they're gonna see it.
Please go see it. Please go see it.
I have to say, like, what stood out to me about Killian, like, who is an amateur bodybuilder trying to become famous, like, I felt like he was someone who was trying to be, but could not fit.
That's right.
In what he had built for himself.
That's
and
right.
It never came out like the way that he wanted it to.
That's
Tried to be tough, but I was like a little off.
Yeah, you ain't built like that, kid. You built, but you ain't built like that.
It's not exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like, is that what you loved about him, or that you was sympathetic or empathetic about?
I love the try in him. I love the he never quit.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he never quit, and in that picture in particular, he's a black man, and he's living in this world, and it's not easy, and there's so many things Elijah and I spoke about, the director spoke about, like what is it to be a black man in society? Like they're terrified of you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm not let me do a blanket statement, but in many cases it feels like they're terrified. And then they won't want to see us at the same time. You're being gaslit as a human being. If no one sees you, and you walk and you talk, and no one acknowledges you, you are being gaslit as a human being. Your entire existence is being disregarded. And that's Killian's plight. And ultimately, it is a story of triumph. And it's a love letter. It's it's one of those. As you said.
You talked about being a black man and this idea of masculinity,
Yeah.
and this idea of what that encompasses, right?
Yeah.
And I think that you probably are not aware of this, but a few days ago you were trending on Twitter.
Yep.
Some people didn't like that you were wearing pink and ebony, and they felt like it wasn't masculine enough. I know that you have said that you look at a lot of your roles, like be it Atticus Finch and Lovecraft Country, as an antidote to like a limited way of thinking about masculinity.
Yeah.
What do you say to those? I mean, I think they're haters. I think it's toxic.
Well, I imagine it's the homies, right?
It's
one of the homies
it was,
that started
who
some
was
shit.
like, it's they,
I like to meet the fellas, you know what I mean?
Well, I think they, you think they would want to meet you though? Because they might have to.
I don't even take it there. You know what I mean? I would just like to, I'd just be curious,
what they have to say.
Tell me what masculinity is. You know what I mean? Like, it is fluid.
Yeah.
You tell me what it is. I mean, I wouldn't want to walk up on me in the street. You know what I mean? Like just 110%. You know what I mean? Like, but it's bigger than that. It's love. It's like maybe there's fear in that. Maybe it makes you fearful. It's tough because the conversations you would have man to man. You know what I mean? There's conversations you would have.
Twitter.
Yeah.
But what do you think masculinity? Like, what is your definition of masculinity?
It's balanced, isn't it? There's strength, right? And there's vulnerability. There's awareness, and then there's acknowledgement of ignorance. A big part of it is kindness, right? Use of power.
Yeah.
Gentleness. These are masculine characteristics.
Yes.
It's quite unmasculine to try to emasculate another man.
Absolutely.
I'm not coming for nobody, but kindness is a big part of it. Doesn't matter, how much you weigh or how much you bench press. That's not the point. You know what I mean? It's none of that. It's an energy. It's an energy. You know what I mean? And I hear my brothers. We fight and claw for every inch of positive popularity we get, of positive news we get. And it's not lost on me that in this moment, because of the pictures I've made and because of the way I move through the world, I may be seen as that. And I don't shy away from, this idea of black masculinity. I'm just living my life. I am male. I am black. These things go hand in hand. I mean, foot and shoe, hand in glove, I asked them to, be a bit more enlightened.
As a black actor, you are a black actor.
Yeah.
Is there a fear of, not only do I have to make the right decisions, but I don't want to let, my grandma down or my mama down, or that I won't live up to expectations? Do you feel that?
I think my fear goes to, man, I hope they like it. God, I hope they like me. You know what I mean? Or they like what that guy did. That they like Damian, that they like Kane, because I made it for them. You know what I mean? That's the fear. As far as the folk and homies and family go, my mama and them, like, woo, it's just, it don't get better than this.
Proud.
Like, hell yeah, they proud. And I'm quiet about it. Like that can't nobody hurt me. You know what I mean? Like as long as Terry, which is my mother's name, as long as Terry's happy, you know what I mean? As long as my little girl Ella's like, go ahead, daddy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make art and worry about what folks think. You know what I mean? And yet there's a delicate balance, there's a tightrope, because you're making it for them. You know what I mean?
And for them to be entertained,
so you have
to learn,
to be moved,
and
be moved,
and
you know
to
what I
feel
mean?
something.
But it's deep, because you go, I do want to say, it's about responsibility. That's what I feel, that the folks that listen, kind of understand what I'm getting at, because that's the fear, that I'll be misunderstood. But my objective is, I really believe just do the best you can. It seems so simple. I think when someone told me that when I was 17 years old, I was like, get the hell out of my face. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, that's really what it's about.
Well, Jonathan Majors, I appreciate you so much for talking with us, and it's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Wicked. This has been great. I don't want to leave. This is fabulous.
Thank
you.
you
For your time.
I appreciate that.